Hello and welcome, friends. I hope everybody's had a great day so far. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. I greatly appreciate all of the ongoing support. This is my channel, Dragonsjewel Creative Gems, and I'm Tegan, and I'm just going to get all that wonderful YouTubey stuff out of the way first. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please consider doing so, just down below. If you like the content that you see, don't forget to give a like. And of course, all the love, comment, suggestions, all those wonderful things, there's a comment section down there as well. Today, we are doing a good old wip&chat. And for those of you that may not know, WIP just stands for work in progress. So for me, that's usually something crafty, generally a diamond painting. Currently, I am working on Paint Gem Rainbow Edition set. So this is the one that I have pulled out and decided to start working on for this video and of course finish up today. I love these Paint Gem sets because they are nice small. They're usually fairly quick to work up. You can work on one at a time, you can work at multiple, so it's a very versatile project when you don't have a lot of diamond painting time and want to diamond paint, or even when you're traveling and you just want to fill that itch without hauling like a big rolled up diamond painting kind of thing. So why don't you get yourselves comfy, pull out something you work on, get some chores done, whatever it is that you like to do, while I catch you up and chat about my last 2 weeks. Make sure you have a beverage on hand. I of course have my coffee here. It's first thing in the morning, or well, maybe not like first thing, but for me first thing in the morning. I'm actually filming this, oh my goodness. Obviously, see, I haven't had enough coffee yet. I'm filming this Friday morning. Normally I try to do these on Thursday, but with my son, he had just gone back to school yesterday, so it was a pretty busy Thursday, so I didn't get around to filming. So I'm going to do it today. Of course, it's going to go out right today. So yeah, I'm going to get to diamond painting. We'll catch all that up, of course. 2 weeks brings us back to the middle of August. As I had mentioned in my last video, we were finishing up the last little bit of our specialized services. So we did have our, what they called a 12-month team meeting, which is just meeting with his whole specialized service team, going over the strategies that we had in place for him, what he accomplished, achieved, if he was still working on them, that sort of thing. With services ending, it was just kind of a nice little close-off thing, something that we could pass along to the school so they could kind of know where we were at as well. One of the team members from his specialized service actually met with his teacher and kind of did a little bit of a meeting with them just to kind of get some transition layover stuff, kind of catch them up verbally with things, and then I sent over the actual email with the document so that they could read through it as well and just kind of know a little bit more about him, where he's at, what he struggles with, what we've been working on with him. Yeah, so that, I of course was busy doing all of that to make sure that was ready to go for the start of school, as well as making sure the little man was ready to go back to school, which he's at the point where he still enjoys school, so he was quite revved up the night before, knowing that he was going back. Yeah, I am having to wake him up in the morning because he's not quite ready to wake up, so we still kind of got to adjust to that time schedule. We're kind of used to leisurely making our way out of the bed anywhere between 7 and 8 over the summer, so school we get up at 6:45, so it's a little bit earlier than what we're used to. So we're both kind of just working through that transition again, getting us back on that kind of schedule. I know I probably could have or should have tried to do that a little bit before, but yeah, what the heck. We finished specialized services anyways, so that's done. Touched base with our FSCD case worker. Got him up to speed and up to date with specialized services stuff, kind of as well, because even though they won't be funding it, because it's what they call a gap year, they still like to know whether or not it was something that we found helpful and successful, that kind of thing, and kind of growth that we saw using those services. So yeah, and then we kind of went at where he's at, what supports are needed, what's currently on our contract, good stuff like that. So sorry, I was just taking a sip of coffee. So basically worked on all of that, and I have no idea what the heck is that too. Sorry, I got distracted by something sitting on my desk. Anyways, what was I saying? Right, so FSCD contract, we got all of that going, so now it's just waiting for them to officially write it up, send it out to us to sign, get it back to them, all that good stuff. And then we'll be good for, essentially, I think he said they're now renewing 3 years at a time, which is awesome, especially for services that carry over that don't really change all that much. So that's things like supporting his G-tube formula and stuff like that. So that doesn't usually change. Maybe kind of the amount he needs has to be upped based off weight and nutritional needs, but for the most part that service stays the same. So for stuff like that, things like respite hours, unless we're feeling like we need more or less, that kind of thing, that's pretty standardized, that carries forward. Things like a clothing allowance, which that kind of gets carried forward, but then there's still the odd thing that would be yearly, like not FSCD, but like the specialized services, that would be kind of renewed based off the yearly kind of thing. So things that, you know, kind of would change or that sort of thing, or would need approval from a year to year kind of thing. So that's kind of exciting, because prior to that it was always, regardless, year to year, and a lot of it was like, yeah, no, we still need that. So yeah, now at least that kind of has a little bit more consistency behind it, which is good to hear. Family, we have family in town. My aunt and uncle they used to live over in Nova Scotia, but they recently moved to BC. They were in town for, I think, just over a week. They had taken off up to Grand Prairie for a music festival with my parents. And then they had kind of spent a week here in the city, just kind of hanging out and visiting with family. So we did a ton of visits with them, as much as we could kind of fit in. We did a dinner over at my aunt's, which was just kind of a smaller one. My cousin, who's the son of my aunt and uncle who were in town visiting, lived with my other aunt, so of course he was there. My aunt that lives there, my parents, and then my aunt and her hubby from BC, they were there. So that was just kind of like a little smaller family dinner. And so we did that, and then the same group of us ended up going out for dinner to Home Fire Grill. We've apparently, because we suggested that last time they were here when they were moving between Nova Scotia and BC, for, I think it was a birthday that we had gone there for. And they fell in love with the place. They love the food, all of that. So yeah, it's kind of become a staple now when they're here to do a dinner with everybody there. So yeah, we did one of those just for the sake of all getting together and kind of spending time together and having a nice lovely dinner out. So we did that. And then we did a larger family gathering at the Wabamun Beach, which is a provincial part of a provincial park that has camping and day use area and stuff like that. So we went to the beach day use side, did a little kind of barbecue picnic with the family there. That one, of course, had all the same people that I've had the other 2 dinners with. My parents, both my aunts, the one husband for my one aunt. And then, unfortunately, my cousin was sick by that point, so he wasn't able to join us. But I have 2 other cousins and their families who live out in Stony Plain, which isn't too far from Edmonton, which is where we live, and it was easy enough for them to get to Wabamun, and they were free, and they love to get together with our aunt, of course. They're actually my uncles' boys and their wives, and of course their kids, all of them, so they joined up, and then my second cousin and his wife joined up, joined us as well. So that was a much, much larger family get-together. We kind of took over 3 of the picnic tables there under a bunch of the trees, brought barbecues, everybody bought something to throw on the barbecue, whether burgers and smokies and kind of potluck style dishes for everybody to dive into. The kids could go fishing or the playground or walk around or kind of do anything, which is great because we had kids as young as my little guy who's like 7 all the way up to about 16, kind of teenagery, close to teenagery, preteen kind of age as well in there. So a nice mix of what they would be interested in kind of doing out there was available. Unfortunately, there was blue-green algae in the water, so it wasn't the best for swimming, so none of them could really enjoy the beach part of the day use area, but that's okay. It was kind of not a crazy warm day anyways, so it's not like we really missed wanting to cool down in the lake. But yeah, so that was lovely. We did that for about, I think we were out there for about 2 or 3 hours. We brought the dog with us. She soaked up all the love and attention, of course, that she could possibly get from everybody. She got a plate of burger juices, and it was kind of funny because she was licking it and the plate started shuffling along the ground and she just kept licking it and following it and walking, and so we ended up sneaking in a little video of that, and that's over on my hubby's channel. He posted it there. Yeah, so that was kind of funny. We had a good chuckle at her for that because she was right in there. So those burger juices must have been really good. But yeah, so then after that, my husband's aunt from Calgary was actually up with her dog, visiting for pretty much the weekend, a couple of days kind of in around it. Nothing super, super crazy, but we haven't seen her in a while. She's had some kind of health issues too that has kind of kept her back in Calgary, but now she's able to kind of drive and get around a little bit easier. She was actually completely using a walker to get around. Now she's only just using a cane, so while she's not 100%, she's able to get around a little bit better, drive, that sort of thing. So she came over the same evening that we had the picnic out at Wabamun with my hubby's mom and his brother. So yeah, we don't actually see his brother very often. I guess his brother moved in with his mom, which I didn't even know. Last I knew, he was living with his, still very close and living with his adoptive family and his adoptive brothers and stuff like that. Yeah, they were separated when they were younger. That's a whole story. That's my husband's story, but basically, yeah. Anyways, he's recently, probably within the last few years, just kind of figured out where his brother was at. We've gotten together with him once before, so we don't really see his brother very often. But yeah, he joined, and so that was very, very nice. Riley got to meet his uncle for the first time. got to, of course, latch onto Denise's aunt, which he just loved. He ended up dragging her out of the living room at one point into his room and was trying to tuck her into his bed. Well, I guess he figured she needed a nap or to go to sleep or something, and then came out and told us all to shush. So yeah, that was pretty cute. She loved him. She also came with her dog, which is a Cocker Spaniel, so we got to meet him. He was quite sweet and lovely. But yeah, so then that visit was just, we were gonna, like, do a dinner or something, but they had all eaten fairly late in the afternoon and weren't hungry, so instead we just kind of sat around, caught up with them, had some coffee, chatted out in the living room. So that was a good couple of hours, just kind of hanging out with all them and catching up. So that was a very busy but family-filled day, which is always nice. Seeing people that we don't always get to see quite often either, so it was a good time. Then of course after all that excitement died down, the hubby started his shutdown this week, so he's been working his normal 10-hour days, but like normally today would be his day off and then he'd get the weekend. Instead now he's only getting the Saturdays off, so he's at work today. He'll have tomorrow off, so he'll get his one day off coming up here, and then he'll be back to work on the Sunday. So yeah, he's kind of just getting into that schedule of things. I'm getting into that schedule of things. The kiddo, of course, started school, so we're also getting into that schedule. The getting up a little bit earlier, getting him fed, dressed, out the door for on his bus kind of thing, getting all that happening, getting used to the timing of all that again. And yeah, and then of course having my days a little bit free to do what I need to get done without him getting in the middle of it or getting in the way or trying to find something to occupy him or help me, that sort of thing. So that's kind of nice. So I get a little bit of downtime. So yeah, and of course getting him all adjusted at school was quite a busy day yesterday, because yesterday was actually the first day of school that he had. So my mom actually, his nanny, came over to our place. We all loaded up into the same vehicle, and then she kind of helped out with that because he goes to school with a whole pile of stuff. They have a couple of community items on their supply list, plus all of his normal yearly school supplies, plus we usually give them a whole pile of his diapers and a package of wipes and a bunch of extra stuff, so it ends up being quite the handful of stuff. I maybe could have carried it all, but my arms would have been very, very full, so it was nice to have the extra help. And then, of course, get him settled into his classroom. We met with his teachers and teacher assistant, one of the teacher assistants that's there, just to kind of get them up to speed a little bit more on things like his G-tube and how much of a feed he gets and when we normally feed him and how much water we flush for his feeds, and just kind of going over those little details with them. So I was at the school for a little bit, kind of going over all of that stuff. Yeah, but they should be good now. They're getting into the flow of things there, getting to know him. When we showed up, they had a little container of Play-Doh at all the students' spots, so they showed us where his spot was, and he got set up with his water and dove into the Play-Doh and kind of was very curious about the other kids who were showing up and running around and starting to do things in his classroom, and so he was pretty settled by the time we had gone over everything with everybody that we needed to and took off. He came home on the bus yesterday, because of course he would only then come home with his lunch kit and his backpack and just kind of the basic stuff that would be day to day, which is much easier to put on a school bus instead of a backpack filled in like a box or two or bag or two of extra stuff. So yeah, he came home. I asked him if he had a good first day, and I got a yeah. A very content, happy yeah. So that's good. Usually he either tells me he has a good day by saying yeah, or if he's had an okay day, then he's kind of looks at me, doesn't say much, and is kind of quiet, on the quieter side. Probably because he has no idea how to really say that whatever, it was an okay day or it was a, you know, kind of day. But I kind of get the idea because he doesn't do his enthusiastic yeah. So I can usually gauge how his day goes. He's definitely enjoying it. He's still at the stage where he loves school, still enjoys going. So that's good. I need to get myself another color here. I know what color I want, but where are you hiding? There we go. Yeah, so he's still kind of at that point, which is good. He's still enjoying going. He's still very enthusiastic about getting on the bus. So yeah, I think he actually missed school. He was, as I was saying earlier, he was kind of just very revved up the night before and super excited about going back. Yeah, you can always tell. But yeah, other than that, that was kind of going back to school, getting back into the groove of things there, which doesn't usually take long, but he is struggling to get up in the morning because it's a little bit earlier. So I am waking him up instead of him naturally already kind of waking up. I mean, hearing him as I get up to make sure he's up kind of thing, which is usually when he's in his schedule, that's how it goes. I can hear him moving around his room and turning on lights and stuff like that because he's just getting up and my alarm's gone off. And around that time, pretty close to kind of thing, either just before or just as he's doing that. So yeah, he'll get there once he's kind of back in the swing of things. I'll get there too. I'll probably need a nap later just to adjust because I'm used to staying up late and kind of having a little bit more of a sleep in. Aside from that, a little bit more exciting stuff is we are ready to start looking at getting another dog. We are finding there's just that empty spot that we're feeling now that our Jack has been passed away now for, it's been about 8 months, I would say. We lost him back in January, so we're just kind of feeling that emptiness, that void. We're noticing our other dog is just really missing having that companionship, especially if we go out somewhere and we can't bring her with us because it's not a dog-friendly place that we're going. So like if we go out to a restaurant or a doctor's appointment, that kind of thing, right? She's used to kind of having some company, and we're just noticing when we come back, she's a little bit more needy and clingy, and she brings out all the husky sass and tells us just how unhappy she was that she's been left. So yeah, we're just kind of noticing stuff like that. So we've talked a lot back and forth, and so we've kind of started our search, and we were looking at one of our local shelters, but have had nothing but negative experiences. We weren't treated very well, which is a huge shame because I used to volunteer there quite frequently. I started working with just kind of going in and spending time with the cats, and eventually ended up volunteering in their back office area in their funds development department and doing admin type tasks for them, just to kind of help ease their workload. So I would get, you know, the filing done that they that was piling up on them. I would help answer some of the phones sometimes, and when they had their lottery running, and getting people's credit card information and sending out those lotto tickets when they were ready, that sort of thing, sending out thank you cards, stuffing different mail things for them, doing those administrative kind of things that, you know, eat up a lot of their time, and it'll kind of freeze up their time at the same time to kind of get some other stuff done that they need to get done. So I ended up doing a lot of that for them. But basically what happened is we went and we looked at one. They told us the process in order to meet and possibly adopt the one, and so we were following that process. Unfortunately, because of the age that we were looking at, we weren't allowed to introduce Janaya because of, they explained to us, because they hadn't had their full vaccinations. That particular pup was still waiting to be spayed or neutered as well. Wasn't completely up, was still waiting on one vaccination yet, and so they didn't want to risk disease or illness being passed, which we fully understood, and so we were able to meet that pup. But what happened was we had to kind of split up. So I went in with our son. I got a little bit of kind of a hello, got it to play a little bit, but overall it was mostly interested in chasing my son's shoes because he got up and moved. And then other than that, it was pretty aloof and didn't really want much to do with us per se. And so it just didn't feel like the right fit. My husband kind of experienced much the same. When he went in to meet that same pup, it was very much aloof to him. He kind of sort of got it to play a little bit, but really just wasn't engaging with us, which is fine. That's going to happen. Not all dogs are drawn to everybody, right? It's kind of to like temperament. Kind of what we're looking at this point, little things like that. Seeing how it is around our son, who was very, very good with animals, loves animals, but he's a kid, he's high energy, he understands a lot, but he does sometimes push it. Like, I mean, our poor big girl right now, she's pretty good natured, but he will sometimes push his boundaries with her by bugging her a bit too much and stuff. So I mean, he still very much has to be monitored, and we have to have a pretty patient dog with kids in that sense. So we are definitely looking at temperament and how they interact with him. Yeah, so that wasn't a good fit, so obviously we passed up on that one. We now knew the process that we had been told. So when we came in, I think the second time we came in over the weekend, they didn't have anybody available right away to show us the puppy that we were interested in. So we had to schedule a time slot, so we did that. And then we just went, ate some lunch, and then came back during our time slot. Met that puppy. That puppy absolutely was fabulous with me. Very friendly. Once I kind of got her to play, and then she kept coming back to me, kept kind of crawling into my lap and climbing up my shoulder and all of that, but was not interested in my husband or son at all. The only time she really showed my son any interest was when I had him sit down in my lap, but she was more just trying to crawl behind him and up onto me at that point. So it just really seemed like that dog was not interested in men at all. The two ladies who had brought the puppy in to meet us, when they came back in the room to see how things were going, the puppy went straight to them and then ignored us at that point. So once again, that she was also kind of nervous around our son a bit. And kind of timid, and was hiding from him. And so, I mean, we obviously, he's good with dogs, and we do kind of work with him to, you know, leave them, give them their space. So, I mean, nothing bad happened, but the potential is there at that point. So that was something we were iffy about, and so once again, it just didn't feel like the right fit. Then another one came up a couple days later. We went there after my husband got off work, because that's when we were available. They told us they didn't have time, all their slots were full. If we wanted to see any future dogs, we'd have to fill out an application, and it just really felt like we were being blackballed at this point. Nothing was explained to us correctly. They didn't treat us very well at this point either. So there was that incident, but before all of this happened, which I forgot to mention with the first puppy that we actually saw, it wasn't even the right puppy. We were initially interested in a different puppy in her litter, one of her sisters, and we realized after we got home, because my husband had taken some pictures, that wait a second, she doesn't look like the picture that we were looking at. And so when we had gone back that second time, we actually found out that there was a huge mix-up with a bunch of their puppy litters that had resulted in them having the wrong IDs put on them and all of that, and their pictures were mixed up, and names were mixed up, and all this other stuff. And the other puppy that we initially wanted to meet was still there, and we said that was the one that we wanted to meet, and they said, oh, she's already adopted. So that kind of left a sour taste in our mouth a bit. The fact that you kind of screwed that up. And then the way we got treated each time we were there. Never once did we really get an apology about the mix-up, just this is what happened. The third time we went in, because we were interested in the dog that had come up, and they told us they didn't have time, we were, like I said, a supervisor came out and basically told us we had to apply to adopt if we were going to meet any more of their dogs, that we couldn't just come in and blah blah blah, and basically we're told a completely different procedure than what we were originally told. So I was livid by this point. I'd had enough of their crap, getting treated like next to nothing, and at that point it really started to feel like they cared more about the numbers of how many animals they could adopt out versus making sure they were adopted into the appropriate homes. Of course, it probably didn't help that I watched a lady adopt one of the dogs leave that she could barely even handle. She couldn't keep it under any control, and it was pretty much just dragging her wherever. A volunteer who could barely handle the dog had to help her out. I mean, had easier time controlling the dog, but still, like, very, just with the pulling, and like very, very strong too. Like, it was a larger dog, so strong for sure. But yeah, so there was a bit of hard time controlling this dog. It was the same dog I had seen the first time we had gone there, who had actually slipped out of its collar when one of the one of the volunteers was taking it outside for like a walk. Yeah. So just a little bit unruly. Definitely needed somebody with experience and strength to handle it. But yeah, no, they let her walk out the door with it because she had adopted it. So at that point, it really just felt like they were more about the numbers. All that. So I sent in a complaint email that I have heard back from the adoption supervisor. And really, they said, all they really said was they were disappointed to hear that we had this experience, and then proceeded to explain what their procedure was. And it's like, well, first of all, we were told one procedure, we were following that procedure, and then when said supervisor was trying to explain the procedure the second time, they were extremely rude, treated us like crap, made it sound like we were being blacklisted, that kind of thing at the time, or blackballed pretty much, or like heads up warning these people, whatever, right? And yeah, basically instead of really apologizing, other than saying they're sorry we had that experience, how can we fix that, right? Like, or we'll do better, or any of that kind of stuff. They just continue to explain the procedure and procedure over, which is fine. We know that, but own up to your mistakes. Honestly, at this point, acknowledge that you can do a heck of a lot better, that you can be better organized, that you can, you know, treat people better, families better, that kind of thing. Something along that lines. No, I'm just going to explain the procedure over and over again. By the time I'd emailed, oh yeah, they said phone if you're going to come in the evening, phone to see if there's any appointments available. I said, well, yeah, my husband tried to phone because he did, but nobody answered. Oh, well, people there take precedence first priority. So you're going to ignore your phones, that you tell people to phone, but yeah, you're going to take precedence at the people right in front, like, not even a pickup, hold on. That's a priority, that you're still making that person at the front desk a priority. You're telling them to wait a second, pick up the phone, and tell that person, I'm just with somebody, I'll be a few minutes. That sort of thing. Simple. You got 3 people at the desk. I'm sure one of them can do that. Anyways, there was that, and I think by the time I had responded back, told her, you know, we had done this. She told me it was a priority. She also said, I'm done explaining our procedures to you. We're obviously not going to make you happy. Just acknowledge your mistake and say you're sorry, like, and that you can obviously acknowledge to do better next time. It's really not that hard. They have a lot of customer service to work on anyways. Lost a huge amount of respect for this shelter because of it. We are at the point where we are no longer even considering them because of the way we were treated, the way they've responded to the complaint. We have been looking at some local rescues. Our experience with that, we were initially interested in one. They had forwarded our application with kind of, the application was basically just a what are we looking for in a dog, what our lifestyle's kind of like, what our family consists of. So like they know we're a couple with a 7-year-old child and a 12-year-old dog, that kind of thing, right? So they kind of get the basic information that they would need to know, kind of what we're looking for in a dog, what our lifestyle is like, that sort of thing. And then they forward that to the foster families, whoever's fostering that dog that you're interested in, and they look it over, and basically, because they know the dog that they're fostering, they know the dog's personality, the dog's energy level, the dog's temperament, that sort of thing. Well, they do list some of that on the website, right? So that you also get an idea, so you can say I'm interested in whoever, right? And you apply, or just I'm interested in a dog this age, this size. You could even do that too. But anyways, we had chose this particular one because she was good with kids, she was good with other dogs. We liked her pictures. She looked like she had quite a bit of kind of personality to her. So we thought, she sounded and looked like a good fit for us. So we put in our application. They passed it along to the foster family, which is part of their procedure. And we were waiting. And I think we were waiting for like 4 days. 4 days, and I really just had this gut feeling that they're going to turn around and they're going to want to keep her. That was just what my gut was telling me. And sure enough, after waiting 4 days, we got an email back from that rescue saying that the foster family wishes to adopt her. So unfortunately, in a situation like that, because the dog is already with that foster family, they know the dog, all of that, they kind of take precedence. They have that right to, or they can say, they can turn around and be like, I think we're a better fit because she's been with us, she knows us, that kind of thing, right? So yeah, unfortunately, we didn't even get to a point where we got to meet that dog. Because the family that's fostering her wants to keep her. So, I mean, that sucked. It was a little bit disappointing and a hard hit, and after going through everything with our local shelter, I have to admit I was feeling a bit beyond frustrated, but just really discouraged. Really discouraged. They asked us if there were any other, the local rescue, not the shelter, asked if there were any others that we were interested in, even listed a few that were kind of in the same age group, same litter even as the other one, and we just kind of said no. We were really kind of set on that one at the time, and we were also looking at just females at that time. So we kind of walked away, and I said we'd keep, you know, an eye on their website if another one came up at some point. And they understood. And then, yeah, me and the hubby kind of talked a little bit more. We even talked about the scenario of, well, do we, you know, instead of looking to adopt a rescue, do we go through a breeder? Like, where else do we look? That sort of thing. Do we change from just looking at females to both male and female dogs? Any concerns that we kind of had with it, that sort of thing. Do we change maybe the... what basically in our search do we want to change, if anything? Do we wait longer? Do we hold off? Do we... if we're going to pay this much for a breeder, do we then look at getting a Bengal? We even went down that road. So we kind of just had back and forth conversations. Then we looked at a couple of other rescues, kind of got a feeling for what's around for the other rescues, what type of dogs are seeing, what, like, are we seeing more males, are we seeing more females, just kind of getting a sense of what's out there and stuff like that. Had a couple conversations, came back to the rescue. We have our application in, looked at their puppies that they had suggested in the same kind of age range as the first one that we were initially interested in, kind of read over their descriptions, their personalities, looked at their pictures, talked a little bit about, you know, what we thought of each one, any concerns we had with any, and decided we were going to change it up, and we're going to consider a male. There was one that, you know, he's extremely handsome, he's good with kids, he's good with other dogs, he has a lot of traits that we were kind of looking for, so he sounds like he would be a pretty good fit for us. So we kind of talked about him in particular. And so I ended up emailing the rescue back going, we want to open up the application that we had sent, and we want to be considered for this dog, kind of thing. So yeah, they were absolutely thrilled that we were considering him, and told me, I had emailed them the morning actually that I had dropped just before I took our son to school. I had emailed them back just kind of saying, you know, we would like to be considered for this dog. Please pass along our application to the foster if he's still available. So I got an email back by the time I had gotten back from picking him up, or dropping him off, I mean, and she's like, great. They were super enthused, super excited. Told me they had already passed along the application to the foster family. Great. I figured, okay, well, it'll probably be a little bit before we hear back from the foster family. I figured because it was a Thursday that maybe they had work and we'd maybe hear that evening or the next morning kind of thing. At the soonest, that's kind of what I was thinking. Well, I ended up going down for a nap. Woke up, had an email back saying the foster family thinks you could be a great fit for him. Basically, let your references know that we're going to contact them, because that's the next stage in this, before they set up a meet and greet and home check. So yeah, super thrilled about that. Things are going well there. She said likely the references will have been phoned last night or today at some point when they get the chance. So super thrilled about that. Things are kind of progressing along that line. So yeah, it sounds like we'll probably be setting up a meet and greet and home check for that puppy. So we'll get to meet him, see how he does with our son, see how he does with Janaya, because in this scenario, this puppy and Janaya will be able to meet, so that's a little bit more comforting for us too, because there's a lot of dynamics in play for us. A lot of dynamics that, you know, we have to kind of consider. Not just, is this dog cute? Have we fallen in love with it? No, you know, how is it with our son? How is he? I'm going to be its main caregiver because I'm home all the time and I'll be the one training it and doing all of that kind of stuff. So I definitely need a bond with me. But we need him to be interested in our son, not be scared by him, want to play with him, that kind of thing. And same thing with our other dog. At the very least, they have to be comfortable around each other and content, right? Not be aggressive towards each other. Definitely don't want that. Can they be indifferent? Yeah, sure. I mean, they don't need an insta-bond. But we don't want a dog that's completely not interested either. So we want to see a little bit of that kind of curiosity towards her even, and her towards it. And them to kind of essentially kind of work, right? So yeah, there's all of that to kind of take into consideration. But yeah, that's at least sounding positive. So we're just kind of waiting on the waiting game now, waiting to hear back on all of that. So that's our search for a pupper. We are looking at getting that second dog, like I said, just kind of for that companion for Janai and to kind of fill the void that we're missing with having to say goodbye to Trigger at the beginning of the year. Aside from that, I have a couple of channel updates. Mostly, if you haven't joined that Facebook community and want to get interactive with everybody, show off work in progresses, chat diamond painting tips with other people who are interested. Heck, it doesn't even have to just be diamond painting. It can be crafty stuff too. Definitely join it. All of that's linked down below. Love to see that community grow. I'm hoping eventually that it'll get big enough that we can start doing some like fun activities in there too. But yeah, we definitely need it to grow before that can happen. And I got some gifties. My first Happy Mail with the P.O. Box. Was super, super excited to hear that some packages were coming my way. Was talking with the person who sent them back and forth. She was keeping me kind of up to date that, oh, you know, this is kind of where it is. And I'm like, oh, I've received it. And she told me how many packages I can receive, and we got 3 out of the 4 of them, so I filmed that because the other one was kind of looking like it was going to be held up, and we weren't sure how long it was going to take. Well, it's slowly moving, but it's on its way. So, yeah, we neither one of us could wait, so of course I filmed that video. What I did unbox, I absolutely loved. 2 of the items were Art Dot diamond painting kits that I've wanted and were on my wish list. So I'm curious. I didn't unbox them, show off the canvas or anything like that, but if you guys are interested, do let me know. I can definitely do unboxing videos for those. Just let me know down in the comments below if that's something you would be interested in. Other than that, I still have some other unboxing videos, mostly DAC to do, and oops, I might have created a couple more DAC orders in the process, so there's incoming DAC orders again. And yeah, so definitely no lack of unboxing videos. And with the son going back to school, I'm now going to, once we kind of get adjusted into that schedule, I've got some other videos that I've got planned that I've been wanting to do, just haven't had the time. Definitely going to start getting some of those done. But I hope you guys enjoyed this catch up, and I will see you in the next video with something new. Have a good day. Bye.